Coming up, Norman voters head to the polls. OU President Bourne receives a big honor, and retail chains are flocking to North Norman. OU Nightly starts now. Good evening. It's Election Day in Norman, and voters have until 7 o'clock tonight to vote on a package of community projects.
The projects fall into two categories: quality of life and economic development. Supporters say the Norman Forward project will benefit all citizens with improvements to parks, community swimming pools, and libraries. It could also help boost the local economy by attracting visitors.
Anything that is supportive of development in Norman, I would be supportive of, regardless of what the cost, and it seems to be very minimal, so I think it's a good thing.
The bond issue is pretty costly, though. It will raise around $200 million by increasing the Norman sales tax by a half cent for the next 15 years.
All right, and OU President David Bourne and his First Lady, Molly Shai, now sit in the Oklahoma Higher Education Hall of Fame. They were 2 of the 12 inducted last night, which included 4 other OU staff members. President Bourne accepted his honor on behalf of the entire OU family.
President Bourne says he is recommending Native American Studies program at OU be elevated to a department. This comes after the OU students celebrated the first Indigenous Peoples Day in place of Columbus Day on campus yesterday. President Bourne said he also announced that the creation of Native Nations Center and the appointment of a tribal liaison officer.
Lawyers representing a Norman doctor have asked the Supreme Court to nullify a new Oklahoma abortion law. The law increases the waiting period of women seeking an abortion from 24 to 72 hours. Governor Mary Fallin signed the bill last week. It will go into effect on November 1st. Fallin says the law will give women more time to consider their decision.
Well, it's actually been really nice, but it's getting warmer, I feel like. The weather is, at least.
But this morning when I woke up, it was freezing.
It was, actually, yeah. Mandy, what do you think, what's going on?
Well, guys, unfortunately, it still feels a lot like summer. Just current temperatures around the state in the 80s, a few places in the upper 70s off in northeastern Oklahoma. But I mean, right now in Norman, we're in the low 80s. It's feeling like summer. None of those fall temperatures are sticking around today, although not quite as windy today as we were this time yesterday. Taking a look around the entire U.S., not a whole lot of activity going on across the Central Plains. A few showers and storms up towards our northeast, but Oklahoma across the entire state is pretty boring right now, and that's good news if you have outdoor plans. It will be a little warm though this afternoon. Now once that sun starts to go down though, thankfully we will cool off rather quickly. 63 degrees by that midnight hour. Grab a jacket if you're outside, because with that chilly temperature it's going to feel, well, chilly outside. Mostly clear skies though throughout your evening, so you won't have to worry about a lot of cloud cover blocking anything tonight, excuse me. Sticking around, I have more on these summer-like temps and a possible cold front. Ladies, back to you.
Thanks, Mandy. It's been over a year since Malaysia Air Flight 17 disappeared with 278 people on board. Today, the final report about what actually happened to the flight has been made public. Dylan Jasna joins us now in the News Center with the details. Dylan.
Vanessa, it has been over a year since Malaysian Airlines flight was shot down over Ukraine. Dutch investigators have released their final report. It says a ground-to-air missile exploded outside the cockpit of MH17, crashing the plane. Investigators say hundreds of iron fragments ripped through the cockpit, killing the flight crew and causing massive structural damage to the fuselage. Officials from the Netherlands and 4 other countries, including the U.S., say the warhead fits a Russian-made missile system. Russia disagrees. Large groups of protesters walked the streets in Turkey after deadly bombings over the weekend. Turkey's prime minister says the investigation into Saturday's deadly attacks focuses on ISIS. At least 97 people were killed and hundreds were injured. And back here in the States, 5 Democrats will face off tonight in their first televised debate of 2016. CNN's coverage will start at 7:30 Central, live from Las Vegas. Vice President Joe Biden has a podium if he decides to enter the race before the debate starts. And one final note from the campaign trail, NBC says Donald Trump will host Saturday Night Live on November 7th. It will be the second time Trump has hosted SNL. Back to you.
Thank you, Dylan. It's been nearly 18 years, but the Midwest City Police may have found the culprit to a cold case. Investigators used DNA to link 56-year-old neighbor Anthony Palma to the disappearance of a presumed death of 8-year-old Kristen Hatfield. Officers arrested Palma on charges of first-degree murder and kidnapping. Palma is currently being held without bond. And still to come on OU Nightly, new planes may be coming to Tinker, and coming with them is big jobs and a lot of money.
Plus, if you're in need of a furry four-legged friend, the Norman Animal Welfare Center has the event for you. Stay with us. Welcome back. Former Bluebell employees are speaking out for the first time after the company's nationwide recall on ice cream due to a deadly outbreak of listeria last spring. The employees tell CBS News that management ignored complaints about conditions at its Texas plant. One man said there was a number of times he would walk in to find ice cream all over the floor, which would then be dropped into barrels of ice cream mix to be used later. The workers also said water was found everywhere in the plant, which is actually what listeria need to thrive. And it seems like every week there's a change in gas prices in Oklahoma. Lindsay Gomez joins me now with Money Matters. Lindsay, not looking good this week.
Never really is. Gas for under $2 is almost non-existent in Oklahoma right now. The fuel price in Oklahoma City jumped 8 cents overnight and 16 cents this past week. The current price in Norman for regular unleaded gas is hovering under $2.19. The increase comes from scheduled refineries being shut down for maintenance. Still, other refineries are being turned off to receive less expensive winter blend fuels. Experts say prices are only going to keep soaring. And the first of its kind Air Force plane passed a crucial test last week. This means that jobs and money could be coming to Oklahoma. The KC-46 Pegasus is a plane that refuels other aircrafts while in the air. The airplane will be serviced at the Tinker Air Force Base and will create nearly 1,300 jobs. $44 million has already been spent to buy land for the hangars to house the giant planes. If the Air Force approves the project, Boeing expects to deliver the airplane by 2017. And the former head of Chicago Public Schools pleaded guilty in federal court today. Barbara Bird Bennett steered $23 million in no-bid contracts to education firms she used to work for. She was promised a 10% kickback and more money down the road. As part of an agreement with the prosecutor, she pleaded guilty to 1 count of fraud, and the other 19 accounts were dismissed. She's facing up to 20 years in prison. And finally tonight on Money Matters, national retail chains are flocking to Norman. Tonight, OU Nightly's Tyler Jones shows us how these chains might help or hurt the local economy.
The North Park project brings brand recognition through national chains, drawing in customers that may not otherwise shop in Norman. Retail coordinator Sarah Kaplan says it also brings economic growth to the north side of Norman.
The retail growth would have been pretty flat without that, so that's kind of the only area of town that's really grown significantly just in terms of our retail sales. Of course, retail sales for us mean sales tax collection, which is the biggest funder of our city government.
Chamber of Commerce President John Woods emphasizes that taxes fund much more than just the city government.
If our businesses aren't successful, we in turn are not going to have great public safety. We're not going to have great roads to drive on. We're not going to have parks and great amenities to have in a community. So they really go hand in hand.
But in order to have these big name stores in Norman, its citizens need to continue to shop locally. National retailers look to see if local and downtown businesses are thriving, which would mean a good business environment. Jocelyn Wall is a local business owner who points out another benefit of shopping locally.
I find it's more important to have small businesses and stores that are locally owned in our community, because $68 out of every $100 spent at a local store remains in the community. Of every $100 spent at a chain, only $43 stays in your community.
So local merchants say be sure to check out the new retailers in town. The don't forget to continue to support locally owned businesses as well. Tyler Jones, OU Nightly.
Retailers of all kinds encourage us to pay sales tax, especially with online purchases. Oklahoma has a use tax policy, which means that if you purchase an item online without a sales tax and don't report it, you are breaking the law. I don't really buy online much, do you?
See, yeah, I do. So that's really good to know.
So it does apply to you then?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, a freebie, like I didn't pay my tax, but I'm not going to say anything. But wow, good
Breaking
to know
law.
that it's, yes, good to know. Thank you, Lindsay.
The Norman Animal Welfare Center has scheduled an adoption event for the 35 adult dogs seized in a recent animal cruelty case. The city has been working with veterinarians to update the dog shots, get their health conditions treated, and have them spayed and neutered to be ready for adoption. After the seizure of 65 dogs in a Norman residence, the Norman Animal Welfare Center has been flooded with people interested in adopting these dogs. The adoption event will take place on October 25th. To find out more, call the Norman Animal Welfare Center or you can visit their website.
Oh, too cute. All right. Straight ahead, we're taking a deeper look at the tough game for the Sooners in Dallas this weekend, though it might be a little hard to watch all over again.
And we have Mandy Bailey standing by with weather.
Well, it was quite cool this morning, but we have heated up rather quickly. When can we expect some fall-like temperatures? I'll let you know coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Now this morning, if you were out and about early, you noticed how chilly it actually was. Most of the state saw temperatures in the mid to lower 40s. Now we did have a spot in northeastern Oklahoma, just north of Bartlesville, reached 39 degrees. So that's starting to feel like fall, but we heated up quite quickly this afternoon. Temperatures already in the mid 80s and it is dry. If you're outside and your skin is starting to feel, wrinkly and that fall-like feel, well, this is why relative humidity values across the state in the teens for most of us. And unfortunately, with the winds that we have, which we've had yesterday, now granted today is not nearly as bad wind-wise as we were yesterday, but across the state with those winds, those relative humidity values, fire danger is going to be a major concern. But check this out, over in Elk City, the Mesonet sensor that records the data that we get is actually not working because it's been so windy out there. They had a gust of 53 miles an hour yesterday. Today, not quite that windy, but as I mentioned again, fire danger is going to be a major factor as we head not just through today, but through the next several days. Take a look. Tuesday and Wednesday, we have high fire danger. And then come Thursday, we go up to very high fire danger. This is going to be the biggest day this week that we really have to worry about fires breaking out across Oklahoma. Now, don't worry. Just don't bring out stuff that can catch on fire easily or have open flames with these dry conditions. That's going to be a major factor as we head throughout the weekend. And it's not until next week, midweek, that we really start to see a whole lot of relief from those fire danger conditions. Now, tonight, though, it will be chilly, although not quite as chilly as we were last night. Overnight lows in the mid-50s for most of us. A few places a little cooler off in northeastern Oklahoma, but most of us will stay in the 50s tonight. Now, coming through our day tomorrow, unfortunately, we do warm up rather quickly as we head throughout the rest of the day. Highs across the entire state reaching in the upper 80s and lower 90s. Now, we have an opportunity to reach some record highs Wednesday and Thursday for tomorrow and on Thursday as well. So keep tabs with us. We'll let you know if we reach those, but it's going to feel like summer for the next several days. 7-day forecast showing temperatures very warm Wednesday and Thursday, but thankfully come Friday, we do start to see some fall-like temperatures. A cold front arrives Thursday night into Friday morning, dropping us down into the 70s. So it's starting to feel like fall heading into the weekend, and thankfully we stay in the 70s throughout this weekend and into early next week. Skies are going to stay pretty clear. We're going to have a lot of sunshine. If you have outdoor plans, it's a good time to make them, especially this weekend. It's going to feel great. You can cook out before you watch the OU game this Saturday. It's going to be beautiful weather for that. Winds not super crazy the end of this week and into next week, but during this week we're definitely going to have to watch out for that fire danger.
Yes, yeah, indeed. But I'm really happy to hear about cooler temperatures.
Yes, finally starting to feel like fall. I know these summer temperatures, I'm like, I don't even feel like it's October.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. And guys, it's almost time for sports. I hate to bring it up, but OU Texas this weekend. What happened?
I don't know.
It wasn't our best game.
No,
I guess,
it wasn't.
to say the least.
Courtney Boggs has some highlights for us. Courtney.
So Baker Mayfield knows there's work to be done for the OU offense. And Monday Night Football brings more controversy to the NFL. We'll tell you more about it. Sports is straight ahead. Thanks for joining me. I'm Courtney Boggs with OU Nightly Sports. Quarterback Baker Mayfield had a difficult time staying upright on Saturday's loss against Texas, where there seemed to be more sacks on the field than you normally see at a grocery store checkout counter. Mayfield struggled behind the line, being sacked 6 times by the Longhorns defense. He knows improvements need to be made on the offensive side of the ball.
It's tough when you have an off day up front. I mean, when they get after us, I can't look at it any differently. I can't carry that over into practice for the next game. I got to be able to sit in there and make my reads, and like I said, get the ball out of my hands a little bit quicker and help them out. And when I do that, it's going to make their job easier. It's going to ease up the pass rush, and I mean, we'll see a difference.
In the SEC, Florida quarterback Will Grier was suspended yesterday for 1 year after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. As it stands, Grier will not be allowed to return to the team until Florida's 7th game of the 2016 season. However, Florida will appeal the suspension, hoping that Grier will be available to play at the beginning of next season. Staying in the SEC, the head ball coach is hanging it up. South Carolina head coach Steve Spurrier announced his resignation this morning. The 70-year-old has been the Gamecocks head coach since 2005. Spurrier is the only one in history to win the Heisman Trophy and coach a Heisman Trophy winner. Monday Night Football, more like Monday Night Mishap. 2:58 left and the ball rolls out of the end zone. But the clock begins to count down, cutting 18 seconds off the Steelers' possession. 5 seconds to go, Le'Veon Bell darts to the outside. Does he do it? And touchdown Steelers. Bell barely breaks the plane before his knee goes down. But what an amazing effort by the Pittsburgh running back. And luckily, the outcome of the game was not affected despite the clock malfunction. A quick note from Jerry World, the Cowboys just announced that quarterback Matt Castle will start over Brandon Weeden against the Giants in Week 7. And in baseball playoff news, the Cardinals are visiting the Cubs in an afternoon game. The Cubs lead the series 2-1, and right now they're in the 4th inning with Chicago leading 4-2. Sooner soccer will be in action on Friday against Kansas State. Star players Laura Rayfield and Shiloh Price visited the set of Sooner Sports Pad last night. They spoke to the host and the crowd about their upcoming conference schedule.
We always talk about how every game is like a championship. So we're going into this weekend and we're getting excited for it. And I mean, it's always when you have in conference play, all the teams are around you. So it's kind of like every game's a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm. Make sure to stay tuned here on OU TV. We're rerunning that episode of Sooner Sports Pad right after the news. In addition to the soccer players, the Gaylord sports team previews Saturday's K-State game and goes one-on-one with Big 12 preseason player of the year, Buddy Hield.
I love me some sports pad. I love when they do the newlywed game.
The newlywed game is my favorite because you never know what kind of craziness you're going to get. Right. And it's just really fun to see the relationship between the players off the field, you know, or off the court, whoever it may be.
And it's nice to see them be real people too, not just always these big, sports stars.
Sometimes people forget that. I really do think they forget that they are students, and some of them are just kids still.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you, Courtney.
Be sure to watch.
Still to come on OU Nightly, the president is giving some words of political advice to a future candidate.
I'm Anna Whitney at the OU Nightly Update Desk, recapping today's top stories. An abortion rights group is challenging a new Oklahoma law that restricts abortions. An attorney for the group says the law is unconstitutional. And the first Democratic presidential debate is this evening. The 5 candidates who want President Obama's job will be hashing it out in Las Vegas, Nevada. And David Bourne was inducted into the Oklahoma Higher Education Hall of Fame last night. Bourne accepted this honor on behalf of the OU family. That's it for now. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Anna, thank you. Now, if you watched the VMAs last month, you probably caught Kanye West's bid to the 2020 presidential election. Well, guess what? He says now he's running for Speaker of the House. Well, whether he's serious or not, President Obama had some advice for him last night.
Spend a lot of time dealing with some strange characters who behave like they're on a reality TV show. So you've got to be cool with that.
I'm just so curious to see like if he's actually going to do, like nobody knows, is he serious or not? Is he actually going to run for president?
We'll just have to find out.
We will. And the weather though has been really warm the last couple days, and unfortunately it's going to stay like that as we continue on for a couple more days. But good news, we do have a little bit of relief in sight. Cooler temperatures finally on the way. A cold front arrives Thursday night into Friday, dropping us down into the 70s. It's about time with fall in full swing. I've been missing out on those cooler temperatures, and thankfully we stay like that through the weekend and into our week next week. Sunny skies, so it's going to be a good time to make some outdoor plans.
All right, sounds great. Thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by Gaylord College.
We'll see you here tomorrow at 4:30.
Have a good evening.
Good night.